A really common task for developers and QAs when interacting with APIs is to explore that API by hitting real endpoints in order to understand how it works, often based on limited or partial knowledge. This can be quite time consuming. With large complex APIs, there's a lot of endpoints to explore and a lot of trial and error needed to really understand how each of those endpoints works. So this is somewhere that AI can really help us. AI agents, LLMs, are quite good at this kind of making educated guesses about how to call APIs, using trial and error until they get something that's correct. So we can use AI to do this work for us, to explore APIs based on some sort of limited initial information. So in this demo, I'm going to show WireMock AI plus Claude Code being used as this kind of API crawling configuration, exploring the PayPal invoicing API, given a limited set of information, a set of URLs initially. We're going to start with an empty mock API. There's an empty open API configuration and no stubs in here at the moment, so it's completely blank. And then we have Claude Code running in the terminal, and this has got the WireMock MCP server installed, so it can make calls out to WireMock Cloud in order to do things like recording and checking what stubs are created and all that kind of thing. So let's kick it off with a prompt that I've crafted earlier. This is just saying crawl from this base URL, put it into this particular mock API, the one I just showed you. Look up documentation, so that's the WireMock MCP server has bits of documentation explaining how to do particular complex tasks. There is an article about crawling, giving more detailed instructions. So it should go and look that up first, and then we're giving this initial set of URLs that we know about to give the crawler kind of a starting point. So let's start that and see how it gets on. It looks like Claude has finished doing its work, and it's had some success in crafting some successful requests. It's managed to list invoices, fetch paginated invoices, show a 404 for a non-existent invoice. So a few useful things there. So let's head over to the mock API and refresh the stub list. And so now we have a list of stubs. This is similar to if we've made the recording ourselves, but this time the Claude agent has driven this entirely. We have realistic response bodies that have been captured from PayPal's own sandbox. And we can now use this to plug in our application under test and start testing. And if we want, we can start enhancing and enriching this initial mock that we've created this way. What we also have now is an updated open API document. Whereas this was empty before, we can now see there's a lot of detail in here. So there's these routes have been populated, and we have schema information, examples, that kind of thing. We can also look at this in a slightly nicer rendered view, so in the documentation portal. I can go and examine the structure of these API requests and responses, and I can make a test request right from within the documentation, and I can see a realistic looking result. So hopefully this demonstrates how AI can be used to significantly accelerate the process of exploring an API, building an open API document plus generated documentation that you can use to understand how the API works, and then also building a mock that you can use in your testing activities from that recording.